The God Protocol by Sam Gerrans, published 2021. See Qur'anite.com. Chapter 4. Noah. Noah, the first warner. The basic storyline of Noah's flood is known across the world, and a summary of the biblical narrative follows. Quote, Noah was a righteous man and walked with God. Seeing that the earth was corrupt and filled with violence, God instructed Noah to build an ark in which he, his sons, and their wives, together with male and female of all living creatures, would be saved from the waters. Noah entered the ark in his 600th year, and on the 17th day of the second month of that year, quote, the fountains of the great deep burst apart, and the floodgates of heaven broke open, end quote. And rain fell for 40 days and 40 nights, until the highest mountains were covered to a depth of 15 cubits, and all earth-based life perished except Noah and those with him in the ark, end quote. From Wikipedia. The biblical account seems woven together from two versions which are in some tension with each other. It also includes notions found nowhere in the Quranic account, such as Noah as, quote, a drinker of wine, end quote. From the point of view of our analysis, the Quran's account of Noah is the first historical instance of the application of that mechanism of warning followed by destruction, which we are calling the God Protocol. While it is clear from the historical record that a major deluge affected a wide geographical area in the ancient world, we leave here the question of whether the flood impacted the entire earth and proceed to the features of this implementation of the God Protocol as outlined in the Quran. We list 9 principal segments in this chapter and provide any commentary in note form below. Segment 1. Quote, we sent Noah to his people. Warn thou thy people before a painful punishment come to them. He said, O my people, I am to you a clear warner. Serve God, and be in prudent fear of him, and obey me. He will forgive you of your transgressions, and delay you to a stated term. The term of God, when it comes, cannot be delayed, if you but knew. He said, My Lord, I have called my people night and day, but my calling increased them not save in flight. And whenever I called them that thou mightest forgive them, they put their fingers in their ears and covered themselves with their garments, and persisted, and waxed proudly insolent. Then I called to them openly. Then I proclaimed to them and confided to them in secret. And I said, Ask forgiveness of your Lord. He is all forgiving. He will send the sky upon you in torrents, and will supply you with wealth and sons, and make for you gardens, and make for you rivers. What ails you that you look not for majesty in God, when he has created you in stages? Have you not considered how God created 7 heavens in harmony, and made the moon therein a light, and made the sun a torch? And God caused you to grow as a growth from the earth. Then he will return you into it, and bring you forth again. And God made for you the earth as a carpet, that you might follow the broad ways thereof. Noah said, My Lord, they have opposed me, and followed him whose wealth and children increase him not, save in loss. And they have schemed a mighty scheme. And they said, You are not to leave your gods, and you are not to leave Wad, or Suwa', or Yaghūth, and Ya'ūq, and Nasr. And they have led many astray. And increase thou not the wrongdoers, save in error. Because of their offences, they were drowned, and made to enter a fire, and they found for them besides God no helpers. And Noah said, My Lord, leave thou not upon the earth among the false claimers of guidance an inhabitant. If thou leave them, they will lead thy servants astray, and beget not save licentious ingrates. My Lord, forgive thou me and my parents, and him who enters my house as a believer, and the believing men, and the believing women, and increase thou not the wrongdoers, save in ruin. Surah 71, 1-28. The wording of the opening verse implies that punishment was conditional upon the response of the people to whom Noah was sent. It is clear from the broader context that idolatry and polytheism were rife. We note Noah's statement of affiliation with his people in O my people, a formula with which we shall become increasingly familiar. The people of Noah then reject him, and follow the powerful among them who appealed to them to follow the gods current at that time. When it becomes clear to Noah that the case is hopeless, he asks God to show no mercy. Verse 71-27 indicates degeneration of the genetic strain. We touch on this again towards the end of the chapter. Segment 2. Quote, We sent Noah to his people, and he said, O my people, serve God. You have no God but he. I fear for you the punishment of a tremendous day. Said the eminent ones among his people, We see thee in manifest error. He said, O my people, there is no error in me, but I am a messenger from the Lord of all creation. I convey to you the messages of my Lord, and give sincere counsel to you, and I know from God what you know not. Do you marvel that there has come to you remembrance from your Lord through a man among you, that he should warn you, and that you should be in prudent fear, and that you might obtain mercy? Then they denied him. So we delivered him and those with him in the ship, and drowned those who denied our proofs. They were a blind people. Surah 7, 59-64. One concludes that the ruling elite of the day was Noah's principal audience, called the eminent ones in the text, since it is they who respond to him. We shall see as we proceed through the sequence of warners that addressing the elites is standard under the God protocol. Segment 3. And recite thou to them the report of Noah when he said to his people, O my people, if my presence and my reminding you of the proofs of God be grievous to you, then in God have I placed my trust. So resolve upon your plan and your partners. Then let not your plan be unclear to you. Then move decisively against me, and grant me no respite. And if you turn away, then have I asked of you no reward. My reward is only upon God, and I have been commanded to be among those submitting. Then they denied him. So we delivered him, and those with him in the ship, and made them successors. And we drowned those who denied our proofs. Then see thou how was the final outcome of those who had been warned. Surah 10, 71-77. Noah here resorts to what we will come to see is a common stratagem. He places his affair entirely in the hands of God and challenges the unbelievers to do their worst. We also see that denial on the part of those warned triggers destruction, while Noah and those with him are saved. This too is a motif with which we will become familiar as we progress through the sequence of warners, denial, and resultant destruction. Segment 4. And we sent Noah to his people. I am to you a clear warner, that you serve not save God. I fear for you the punishment of a painful day. Then said the eminent ones who disbelieved among his people, We see thee not but as a mortal like us, and we see not that any follow thee save those who are abject among us at first appearance, and we see not in you over us any merit. The truth is, we think you are liars. He said, O my people, have you considered, if I be upon clear evidence from my Lord, and there has come to me mercy from him, but made obscure to you, should we compel you to it, when you are averse to it? And, O my people, I ask of you for it no wealth, my reward is only upon God. And I am not one to drive away those who heed warning. They are going to meet their Lord. But I see you are a people in ignorance. And, O my people, who will save me from God if I drive them away? Will you then not take heed? And I say not to you, I have the treasuries of God, or I have knowledge of the unseen. Nor do I say, I am an angel. Nor do I say to those whom your eyes disdain, God will not give them good. God best knows what is in their souls. Indeed, I would then be of the wrongdoers. They said, O Noah, thou hast disputed with us, and hast greatly disputed with us, so bring thou upon us what thou promisest us, if thou be of the truthful. He said, God will but bring it upon you, if he wills, and you cannot escape. And my sincere counsel will not profit you, if I desire to give you sincere counsel, if God has desired to cause you to err. He is your Lord, and to him will you be returned. If they say, He has invented it, say thou, If I have invented it, then upon me is my crime, but I am quit of what you commit. And Noah was instructed, None of thy people will believe, but he who has believed already. So despair thou not at what they did. And make thou the ship under our eyes and our instruction, and address thou me not concerning those who have done wrong. They will be drowned. And he made the ship, and every time eminent ones among his people passed by him, they derided him. He said, If you deride us, yet will we deride you just as you deride. And you will come to know to whom comes a punishment that disgraces him, and upon whom there descends a lasting punishment. When our command had come to pass, and the oven boiled over, we said, Load thou therein of every pair 2, and thy household, save him against whom the word has gone forth, and him who believes. And there believed with him only a few. And he said, Embark therein, in the name of God be her passage and her anchorage. My Lord is forgiving and merciful. And it sailed with them amid waves like mountains, and Noah called to his son, and he was set apart. O my son, embark thou with us, and be thou not with the false claimers of guidance. Said he, I will take shelter in a mountain that will protect me from the water. He said, There is no protector this day from the command of God, save for him upon whom he has mercy. And the waves came between them, and he was among the drowned. And it was said, O earth, swallow thou thy water, and, O sky, desist thou. And the water subsided, and the matter was concluded. And it came to rest upon Al-Judi, and it was said, Away with the wrongdoing people. And Noah called to his Lord, and said, My Lord, my son was of my household, and thy promise is the truth, and thou art the most just of judges. He said, O Noah, he was not of thy household, he was a deed not righteous, so ask thou me not of that whereof thou hast no knowledge. I admonish thee lest thou be of the ignorant. Said he, My Lord, in thee do I seek refuge, lest I ask of thee that whereof I have no knowledge. And save thou forgive me, and have mercy on me, I will be among the losers. It was said, O Noah, get thee down in peace from us, and blessings upon thee and upon nations out of those with thee. And nations will we give enjoyment, then a painful punishment from us will touch them. That is from the reports of the unseen that we reveal to thee. Thou knewest it not, neither thou nor thy people before this. So be thou patient. The final outcome is for those of prudent fear. Surah 11, 25-49. Verse 11:35 is an aside addressed primarily to the Prophet. At 11:36, God tells Noah that no more will believe than have believed already, and we know from the broader text that in the event very few believed with Noah. According to the Quranic presentation overall, the warner's missions which ended in destruction under the protocol do not seem to have generated wide support. Verses 11:45-47 indicate that Noah's son was not of his loins, but may suggest also that he was in some way genetically compromised. Footnote. See also 71:27 above. There exists a mass of material in the literature, religious, philosophical and secular, from ancient Greek and Hebrew texts through to modern writers, which develops the theme of genetic corruption at this time, the details of which we elide here in the interests of concentrating upon the text of the Quran. To continue. The close of the segment at 11:48-49 both anticipates a time at which a future punishment or punishments will again descend upon mankind, and establishes that those who fear God are the ultimate winners. Segment 5. And Noah, when he called before, then we responded to him and delivered him and his household from the great distress, and we helped him against the people who denied our proofs. They were a people of evil, so we drowned them altogether. Surah 21, 76-77. This segment rehearses in compact form salient points of the broader narrative. Segment 6. And we sent Noah to his people, and he said, O my people, serve God. You have no God but He. Will you then not be in prudent fear? Then said the eminent ones who disbelieved among his people, This is only a mortal like you, desiring to take precedence over you. And had God willed, he would have sent down angels. We heard not of this among our fathers of old. He is only a man possessed, so wait for him for a time. He said, My Lord, help thou me because they have denied me. And we instructed him, Make thou the ship under our eyes and our instruction. Then when our command comes and the oven boils over, Load thou therein of each kind 2, and thy household, save him against whom the word has gone forth among them. And address thou me not on behalf of those who do wrong. They will be drowned. And when thou art seated, thou and whoso is with thee upon the ship, say thou, Praise belongs to God, who has delivered us from the wrongdoing people. And say thou, My Lord, set thou me down at a blessed landing place. And thou art the best of those who set down. In that are proofs, and we are testing. Surah 23, 23 through 30. Of additional interest here is the fact that the ruling elites to which Noah is addressing himself accuse him of lacking sanity, quote, possessed, end quote, in the text. Segment 7. The people of Noah denied the emissaries when their brother Noah said to them, Will you not be in prudent fear? I am to you a trustworthy messenger. So be in prudent fear of God, and obey me. And I ask of you for it no reward. My reward is only upon the Lord of all creation. So be in prudent fear of God, and obey me. They said, Are we to believe thee when the abject follow thee? He said, And what knowledge have I of what they did? Their reckoning is only upon my Lord, were you to perceive. And I am not one to drive away the believers. I am only a clear warner. They said, If thou cease not, O Noah, thou wilt be of those stoned. He said, My Lord, my people have denied me. So decide thou between me and them, and deliver thou me and those with me among the believers. So we delivered him and those with him in the laden ship. Then we drowned thereafter those remaining. In that is a proof, but most of them are not believers. And thy Lord, he is the exalted in might, the merciful. Surah 26, 105 through 122. The segment above rehearses in compact form salient points of the broader narrative, adding 2 points to what we have already seen. Firstly, the people of Noah threaten to kill him if he does not relent in his mission, and, secondly, most people to whom the proofs of this narrative come deny it. Segment 8. And we sent Noah to his people, and he tarried among them 1,000 years, save 50 years. And the flood took them when they were wrongdoers. But we delivered him and those with him in the ship, and we made it a proof for all mankind. Surah 29, 14 through 15. This segment rehearses points already made, and adds confirmation of the lifespan ascribed to Noah in the Hebrew Scriptures of 950 years. Footnote. The fact that in the distant past men lived what today would be considered impossibly long lives is attested to by Hesiod and others. That period is referred to within the Greek philosophical tradition as the Golden Age. Under that system of understanding history, we are living presently in the Iron Age, which corresponds in the Vedic traditions with Kali Yuga. To continue. Segment 9. The people of Noah denied before them. They denied our servant and said, One possessed, and he was repelled. So he called to his Lord, I am defeated, so help thou. Then opened we the gates of heaven with water pouring, and caused the earth to gush forth with springs, and the waters met for a predetermined purpose. And we bore him upon that of planks and nails, sailing before our eyes as reward for one denied. And we left it as a proof, So is there any who will remember? Then how were my punishment and my warnings? And we have made the Qur'an easy for remembrance. So is there any who will remember? Surah 54, 9 through 17. This segment rehearses in compact form salient aspects of the broader narrative. Of additional interest here is the fact that Surah 54 as a whole contains a series of summaries of cases where messengers delivered messages of warning of destruction to ruling elites were rejected, and each community was utterly destroyed in an act of God as a result, of which the story of Noah is but one. Characteristic sins of the warner's people. Idolatry, taking a god other than God. Polytheism, worship of multiple gods. Preference for idolatry when presented with a call to God. Genetic manipulations and or miscegenation. Sexual coupling outside legal limits. Refusal to heed legitimate warning. Actions of the warner. Presents a punishment which is contingent on response by hearers, receives a commission from God, approaches a people to which he belongs, uses the appeal, "O my people," says God can delay to a stated term, calls the hearers to serve God, warns of the resurrection, calls the hearers to serve God only, asserts that there is but one true God, calls the hearers to fear God, exhorts the hearers to obey him, states that he is a warner or messenger, calls the hearers to seek forgiveness of God, cites the favours of God, cites God as creator of all things, warns of punishment, anticipates punishment of a tremendous day, told by God that the wrongdoers will be destroyed, stresses the message given by God, addresses himself to the elites of his time, advances reasoned arguments, states that he seeks no reward from those to whom he is conveying warning, addresses subject of those who follow him, states that he is nothing more than a mortal, states that destruction is the decision of God alone, responds to derision or accusation, appeals to God, challenges the unbelievers to do their worst, places his affair entirely in the hands of God. Actions of those the warner addressed. Deny, oppose, or disregard the warner. Follow the wealthy or powerful. Fail to believe. Reject God alone or appeal to their existing cult. Cite the warner's mortality as a reason to reject. Cite absence of custom as reason to reject. Cite lack of evidence as reason to reject. Dismiss on basis of abject followers. Accuse the warner of insanity or sorcery. Claim that time will put paid to the warner. Claim the warner to be a liar. Call for the punishments of God. Deride or mock the warner. Plan to kill the warner. Other key features. Only a few believed with the warner. Appeal to the Qur'an as something which should be remembered. Reference to, quote, my punishment and my warnings, end quote. The conclusion of the matter. God annihilates those who reject the warner. God delivers the warner and those who believed with him. The rejectors will go to hell. The idolaters' cult fails them. It was said, away with. The conclusion of the matter entails a proof. Contemporary echoes of sins characteristic of that time. Mention of God has all but been removed from education and approved culture in the present cult, and reference to the Creator in the broader society is now socially inappropriate, if not verboten. Idolatry and polytheism are today standard, with the masses trained to worship the so-called stars of the prescribed culture, or in the form of solipsism and humanism, which comprise worship of self. Much of what is called science is today but polytheism and pantheism in narrative form. The ruling elites have their own cults to which the profane are not admitted, but in which the masses unthinkingly participate through symbolism and ritual. The ruling elites themselves are Satanists and idolaters and pantheists, and follow practices which claim their genesis in the mystery school cults. The naturally productive races are being systematically degraded by programs of mass integration and miscegenation, while the DNA of the broader human stock is debased by means of diet and other mass systems of weapons delivery. We also see a move to merge humans with computers, creating a transhuman or post-human society for those allowed to survive under the new order. Sexual profligacy, degeneracy, and lack of moral standards have been made the norm. Solipsism, unhinged delusion, and refusal to acknowledge arguments which do not comport with the existing cult of egoism have been made standard via systems of so-called training, self-improvement, and low-level esoterica, as well as by passive means through mental downloads delivered via approved culture. Additionally, people are inured to the big questions of life, being sheltered, at least in Western society, from the facts of birth and death, and kept in an infantile state by means of inferior arts, music, and other forms of cultural programming. Scriptures in which warning of the consequences of contravening the laws of God are contained are derided, ignored, dismissed, or undermined by so-called sciences, ideologies which, in fact, promote a materialistic religion.